Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Let's do some football right now. Adam Rittenberg, senior writer at ESPN, does this piece every year where he does college football future power rankings through the 2026 seasons. You got 2024, 2025, and 2026, a 3-year projection. And I want to be very clear at the beginning of this segment. Very obviously, we understand the transfer portal plays a massive role in this. And you cannot truly project based on recruiting classes what the foundation of a program is, because it can be rocked so hard by the transfer portal, both good and bad. So, understandably, it's tough to forecast what Ole Miss is going to be for 3 years, because all these guys they brought in are going to be moving out in January. So what does that look like for next year? I don't know. But they've given an effort here, and they've got a bit of a metric called the Future Power Rankings, the FPR, and they take into account a number of things: quarterbacks, defenses, offenses, recruiting rankings, coaching, and spit out these answers. So they've got a new top 25. And they've got Georgia at number 1, and I don't have much of an issue with that, because Kirby Smart is recruiting at a level that, based on the current coaches, because Nick Saban no longer is one, has not been matched by anybody. And their attrition in the transfer portal is not a lot, and that, you would imagine, should hold up. It's not a guarantee, but it should. They ought to recruit really well at a high level, and they're not going to hit mauled by attrition, and Kirby Smart's a really good coach. I got no issue with Georgia being number 1. They've got their future quarterback ranking at number 4, their future defensive ranking at number 1, future offense ranking at number 3. So that's kind of the rationale for that, and I'm right there with it. Ohio State makes a ton of sense at number 2. At number 3, they've got Texas. And that is a big hat tip to Steve Sarkisian and what he's been able to do. They really like the quarterback situation with Quinn Ewers. Obviously, you have a couple of options behind him, including Arch Manning, and the recruiting classes have been fantastic. They had a good team last year. They seem to be on stable footing, so I don't have any problem with them at number 3. Alabama's number 4. This is as low as you would have seen them. I know Matt does his thing where Tuscaloosa is burning, and there's some tongue-in-cheek there, but it's rooted in some truth, and everyone kind of sees Alabama as taking a step from the king of college football down to really good program. And there's nothing wrong with being really good program. Clemson's been really good program. LSU's been really good program. At times, Georgia's been really good program. Oklahoma's been really good program. Ohio State's been really good program. Really good program, not a problem with that. But it's not the end-all, be-all of the sport. And that's what Alabama projects to be really good at number 4. They've got their future quarterback ranking at number 6. Future defense, number 6. That's a huge step back. Future offense, number 5. So they've got that Alabama there at number 4. Michigan comes in at number 5. Oregon comes in at number 6. Notre Dame comes in at number 7. And your Fighting Tigers of LSU come in at number 8. The writing from Rittenberg says LSU certainly has the potential to be higher and should rise, especially if the defense gets fixed under new coordinator Blake Baker and a decorated staff. Team hired Brian Kelly to win championships. If LSU doesn't land one in the next 3 years, the pressure will certainly rise. The defense is undoubtedly in the spotlight as Baker inherits a group with a few notable players like Harold Perkins, Major Burns, Greg Penn, Sage Ryan. But overall, the talent in the secondary is not what LSU expects. Baker and his staff are going to have to develop some young players. He mentions Ashton Stamps, Javian Toviano, Jair Brown from Ohio State, and then goes on to mention Braden Swinson, Savion Jones, Don McKinley, DeVory Antoine. All those guys. And then it talks about a moderate upgrade on defense might be enough to get LSU back to the college football playoff, because they've become an offensive-driven program, boasting 2 Heisman Trophy winners since 2019. Never thought you'd read that. But he goes on to talk about the offensive line, host of talent, good quarterback situation, and a lot of guys coming in. He mentions Caden Durham, Harlan Berry at running back. They look pretty good. I read all that to kind of give you my thoughts on this, and I'll just be frank with you here in June. I feel better about LSU's next 3 years, next 5 years, than I do the next 5 months, 6 months. I'm not suggesting I think LSU's going 6-6 in football. I don't think that at all. But I don't know that I look at LSU right now and feel like a team that lost the Heisman winner and 2 first-round wide receivers that spearheaded basically everything LSU did last year and had a terrible defense. And look at that and go, well, they'll be just fine on offense, and the defense is going to get a lot better, and they're going to be a national championship contender. I'm not ruling it out. I just don't feel that way today. But I do feel like the offensive line recruiting has been fantastic. The recruiting overall has been fantastic. I absolutely trust Corey Raymond and Blake Baker and Brad Davis and Bo Davis. I absolutely trust Cortez Hankton. I feel good about Joe Sloan, and I think Brian Kelly has put a solid foundation together that should yield fruit time over time. I've never been of the opinion that Brian Kelly was going to come to LSU and do something that looked like Nick Saban at Alabama. Even the last few years of Kirby Smart at Georgia, where they played in the national championship game 3 out of 5 years. Like, that's a lot to live up to. And LSU is near the top of the food chain in college football, far closer to the top than the middle. But that's really, really lofty, and I don't expect that every single year. I expect it in rotation. Every 2, 3, 4 years, give me something. And again, I feel pretty good about 2025 LSU. Really good about 26, 27, 28 LSU. As long as Brian Kelly's here, and I'm confident in that staff, they continue to recruit at this level, and he hires really good people, I think LSU will make a couple of runs. I just don't know that I feel right now like I think this team is going to make one. So for the point of this exercise, as I look at college football as a whole, and we start to not just look at who's LSU going to cover with in the first game against USC, who's LSU going to stop Ole Miss with this year? If you take that out of the equation, just talk about how do you feel about the health of the football program? My answer's different. I'm really concerned about some of that stuff this fall. I feel really good about it moving forward. And maybe so much so as to say I feel better about it than I do about Michigan, who's in front of LSU by a couple of spots. Because Michigan doesn't have their head coach anymore. Like, you got Michigan at number 5, and yeah, they have a lot of talent. And you're trying to keep the continuity, move Jim Harbaugh out, and you bring elevate assistants. Well, how'd that work for the Saints? Your quarterback left, your play caller left. How's that? Not great. Doesn't mean it has to not work for Michigan, but there's some uncertainty there. I feel like LSU, from a program standpoint, is on really sturdy ground. Does Michigan crack a little bit without Harbaugh stirring the drink? Maybe. Do we fully trust Oregon, moving away from that schedule that includes Arizona State and Arizona and Cal, Washington State, and now you're moving in, you got to go play Ohio State, you got to go play Penn State, you got to go to Wisconsin? Do you really know that Oregon's ready to do that with no Bo Nix and Dan Lanning, without Bo Nix kind of for the first time? I don't know. That feels a little more uncertain to me than LSU. Not destined for failure, just a little uncertain. Everybody feel great about Marcus Freeman? I'll tell you what, you go to College Station that first week and it doesn't go very well? What does that say? I don't know. Maybe they're awesome this year. But I feel good about the future of LSU's football program, especially when we start looking at 3 years. Start looking at 1 year, I can find LSU outside the top 10 pretty quick. Over 3 years, 5 years, I think LSU is very, very firmly in that top 5. You can check it out online at ESPN.com. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.